Announcements about it. Let's start with this. Hey, welcome everybody to today's Monday Business Solutions Circle Up. It's October. We're finally here. We made it. It's the fourth quarter. I'm excited to be here with you. My name is Jim Tanner. I'm going to be your host for the event today. And I've got a training for you as well. Now, we have a lot of heading towards or already in Dallas, Texas. So, and besides that, a lot of our biggest producers in business solutions, if they're not in Dallas right now, it's probably because they're at an enrollment, because this is Super Bowl season in business solutions. So I'm going to handle going through some announcements with you, talk about events we have coming up, and then I've got a training for you that I think is going to be very helpful for you, whether your focus is on business solutions or not, because we really want to be able to serve all of you as full service associates. So I have a training, and I'm one of these guys that, a lot of what I do today is the same stuff I did years ago. The names of the things might have changed, the tools might have changed, but what we do ultimately stays the same. So I really, for many of you, this will be a refresher on what it is that we do that's always worked, not so much what we're doing that's new. But let's start with information about incentives. And this is the incentive we've had going all year, 2023, which is our first ever group opened incentive. So if you're brand new or you've been around a while, it doesn't matter. But if you open your first group and you've been through our business, the employee benefit certification, the solution certification, you're getting a $250 bonus for that. But if you do that same activity with a field trainer and you're using one of our field trainers to help you open that group, you're going to get your bonus doubled to $500. Now, we want you to use a field trainer. That I often say success leaves clues. It's kind of one of the things I say, but it's more than just a saying. It's something I want you to notice, that we have a company and incentive programs within the company that are setting you up to do the right thing. So all you have to do is say to yourself, why would the company want to double my bonus if I use a field trainer? Well, it's pretty obvious, because we want you to use a field trainer. Now, why do we want you to use a field trainer? We want you to have the best possible experience opening your first group. Now, our business solutions certification Zoom training is fantastic. It's just great. Mike Riches does that training for you. He's going to teach you the vocabulary, the cadence, what we do, how we do it, the processes. But the fact is, until you are sitting in a decision maker meeting and doing that decision maker presentation to another human that is going to ask you questions, another human that might have had a great morning or a bad morning before you got there, another human that's going to interact with you, we want you to have the best choice, the best chance of a good outcome. So with a field trainer there that's seen it all and done it all and answered every question, you're going to be better positioned. And the same thing with the enrollment. When you're in front of 10, 50, 100, hundreds of employees enrolling that company, we want you to be there with somebody who's done it before so that you can win together. So listen, this is my first slide. You're saying, okay, I get it, Jim. Do you get it? We want you to win. We want you to use a field trainer. Pick up your $500. Also, we've got two versions of the Business Solutions Montego Bay incentive going. And there's another one that was just announced I don't have a slide for, but here's what you need to know. For those of you that started in July with us on this incentive period, you have the Business Solutions Summer Getaway, which all you have to do is write $5,000 in personal solutions premium, and then rank 1 through 5, and you'll get the trip for 2 plus a VIP early arrival and a $2,000 bonus. And then you can rank 6 through 10 for additional bonus money, 11 through 15, or 16 through 50, you get the trip. So all you have to do to be one of the 50 associates that's winning a trip for 2 is write $5,000 in personal solutions premium during this period that started in July. And you have to have been here since July to do this, because you have to be in Performance Club every month. So some of you weren't here in July. In September, we announced a full service associate leaderboard. So this is September through February. This is a leaderboard for the top 50 positions are going, you and a guest, and it's your premium written times your recruits. It's as simple as that. There's bonus points for helping people get fast start qualified. There's bonus points for opening your first group, and that will put you in the running to go with us to Montego Bay. The company is going to spend millions of dollars on this trip. We want them to be spending some of that money on you and your guests to go with us. Round trip airfare, accommodations, all your food, all your fun, it's all covered. And this is a great trip, and we're going to have a blast. I've been to this resort with Legal Shield before. It's super fun, and I'm really excited that we get to go back, and I get to share it with all of you that haven't been before. So be there with us. Next, this is our 2023 cash incentive. This is bonus money. This is, I can't say this enough times. When the company will pay you twice on activity you do once, that's a powerful thing. It's compelling. So here's what it is. You're out there in the field, you're opening groups and writing premium in those groups. And as you hit these different premium levels, which is on the inside, on the left-hand side as you're looking, then you earn a cash bonus, and the bonuses are cumulative. So when you write $2,500 in premium for the year, you earn the $250 bonus. But if you keep going and write $5,000 total, now that bonus gets you another $750 for a total of $1,000. And as you can see, it just keeps going up. For the folks that write $75,000 in premium for the year 2023, they're going to capture all of the $100,000 in cash bonuses that are in this one incentive program that we're running. Unlimited associates can have it. The company didn't say for the first 10 that hit it. It's for all of us. All you have to do is put it in business and then capture your cumulative bonus. I want to talk about a couple of things that are wrapping up here. This is the fourth quarter. Now, these are yearly programs to qualify for Sapphire and Emerald Elite. For Sapphire Elite, if you write $3,500 in business solutions premium throughout the year 2023, now you're Sapphire Elite in 2024 for the whole year. So you get a dedicated Sapphire support line. You get executive director level commission on all of your big groups, your groups with 200 plus employees, regardless of the level you qualify for. So you're going to get paid at executive director automatically. And then there's incentive programs for the Sapphire Elites. Now, if you go a little further, instead of $3,500, you do $8,000 in personal business solutions premium during 2023. Then you're going to get the Emerald Elite status for all of 2024. That gives you a dedicated home office account manager. It's called an Emerald Elite account manager. This is an admin person for you and for your accounts. You have enrollment people, a concierge level support and marketing team for your enrollments. You're getting paid at Platinum Executive Director on all of your 200 plus employee groups, regardless of level of qualification. There's trainings that are coming out only for Emerald Elites that are going to be made available to you at no additional cost. There's trips like the Jamaica trip, when there's trips and there's other events like our convention, there's always Emerald Elite functions and incentives that go with that as well. So for those of you that you say, hey, listen, I don't know where I am in the pursuit of these numbers, all you have to do is log into LS Engage and click. There's a tab that toggles between network and solutions. And if you just click it over to solutions, it will show you exactly where you are year to date in your solutions premium. I'll do a slide of that next week. I should have that so we can show it to you. Let me just take you through a couple of things that are happening this week and into next week. Now, of course, tomorrow is Tuesday, October 3rd. And we're going to be doing the B2B prospecting blitz. That's happening like it happens every Tuesday. But also many of us, hundreds of us, are going to be in Dallas, Texas. And in Dallas, Texas, there's going to be a big announcement. This is our fall leadership event, so one-day event. And there's going to be a lot of great information coming out of there. So that's where most people are going to be tomorrow. I fly down in the morning. I know many of you are already there, and others are flying down in the morning as well to Dallas at the airport for this event. So I took the slide out about the event because basically if you were going to Dallas, you'd already have that lined up. But this is happening tomorrow. For those of you that are not going to be with us in Dallas, the Prospecting Blitz will be happening. Now, the Solutions Expo, which is normally the second Wednesday of the month, has been moved up to this Wednesday, October 4th. The reason for this is because there's going to be a lot discussed tomorrow in Dallas. We want to get that out to the field. We don't want you to wait another week for that. So that Solutions Expo is going to be coming to you right away on Wednesday. Make sure that you get plugged into that. It's only an hour. It's going to be great information that you're going to want to have. On Thursday, October 5th, from 10 to 2 Central, is Fundamentals of Business Solutions. Now, Marty Galano, who is a $400,000 ring earner and one of the top producers in the company for years and years, he's going to take you through this class. You want these fundamental skills that he's going to deliver to you, and then glean the information that he has and that he's willing to share with all of you in the training class. It's totally free. You just have to pre-register, and you can find this on LegalShieldCalendar.com. The Employee Benefits Certification class that Mike Riches teaches is Tuesday, October 10th from 1 to 6 p.m. Central Time. This is the 4-hour business solution certification that allows you to go out in the field with a field trainer and start opening groups and start earning those commissions and bonus incentives that I was just talking about. So some of you are brand new and your goal is to focus in business solutions. I want to make sure that if your goal is to focus in business solutions, that you get into this next class and you don't delay. It only happens every couple of weeks. If your goal is not to do business solutions, you're saying, like, when I got started, I was just I didn't have the time for that. I wasn't in a position to do that. So I was focusing on individual membership sales. But whether you are involved in business solutions as a focus or not, you want to take this class. You want to make time in your schedule to attend this class and learn this incredible deep dive information on what Legal Shield and ID Shield does. And you want to learn the language of business solutions, because I'll tell you one thing, you want business solutions producers in your team. You want people in your team that are putting in not 1 or 2 sales a day, which is great, but 10 or 20, 30 or 40, 50 or 100 sales in a single day. Well, that's what you get when you have business solutions producers in your organization. So we want to make sure that you're positioned for that. Take that class. Also, Thursday, October 12th is our Midwest region virtual training. Since it's virtual, you're all invited. It's free. Anybody can access it from anywhere. Really, the reason that they're regional in nature is because we have regional people that are in leadership roles that run these meetings. And since they're currently not being done in person, we open it up to everybody. So Lisa Schiller is going to be teaching this class, I believe. She's in charge. Tanya Mack will be there. Cachet Allen. I got to be at an event with all of those folks in Chicago, and they're just phenomenal trainers. So this is going to be a great event as well. And make sure that you're plugged into that. And then I've got just one more for you, I believe, which is the Canadian version of the Employee Benefits Certification class, Friday, October 20th, 11 to 3:30. And this is going to be the Canadian version of what you need to know to go out there and do business solutions in Canada. So you also want to make sure that if you're in Canada, you're getting the Canada information. If you're in the States, you're getting the information for the States as well. And I think I see one more slide. Nope, that's old. I just should. So no, that is the same slide. It just got hidden on me. So that's how important the Solutions Expo is. I got it in here twice. So we want to make sure that you all get a chance to attend that on Wednesday, solutionsexpo.com. Now, that was a lot of information for me. And what I want to do here with that I've got you is I want to talk to you. Well, I'm looking at some of the faces here. I see some new people. I see some folks that are not that new. I want to talk to you about the success formula that Dave Civula came up with. And I just want to share with you, we're going to get to about the bottom of the hour, about 12:30 Eastern, and then we're going to wrap, because I know, again, folks are making their way to Dallas. Some of you are in Dallas. You've stepped out of meetings to be a part of this. I want to talk to you about Dave Civula's success formula. Let me share a little bit about who Dave Civula was in our company. I talk a lot about Harlan Stonecipher. Harlan Stonecipher, the founder of the company. Like, none of this that we're discussing today happens without Harlan Stonecipher, without him living his life in rural Oklahoma, without him being in that accident, without him being treated unfairly. All of us doing this today are because of that moment. And Harlan Stonecipher started this incredible company and built something significant in that area of the country, in that Midwest region where he was, where we're founded. But there's often more to the story of how we got here than just the story of how we started here. And you can't tell the story of how we became the Legal Shield of today without talking about Dave Civula. Dave Civula, this is a picture of Dave and his wife, Bev, and they passed away. Dave passed away first and Bev not long after, unfortunately. But they died in this business as the top income earners. And by the way, it wasn't even close. Like, the difference between number 1 and number 2, it wasn't even close. The Civula organization has created many $1 million ring earners, $1 million a year earners, multiple Millionaire Club members, many, many, many ring earners, people that have become legends in this business today are also legendary members of Dave and Bev Civula's team. When we talk about what makes our business model work, when we talk about this idea that you want to get a large group of people doing a few simple things consistently over time, Nobody has mastered that like Dave Civula has mastered that. And his legacy goes on as long as we continue to tell his stories and not take for granted that this business is here because he was here. The legendary legacy of what he accomplished lives on. But there's more to the Dave Civula story than the formula. I'm going to teach you the formula, but it's what he did with the formula. See, what Dave Civula did is he took this 2AD+1 formula, which I'm going to teach you here in a moment. It's not complicated. Dave Civula taught this to everybody, and he taught people to not complicate this. He said, this is what we do. We don't add to this. We don't put a new spin on it. We don't change anything about it, because then everybody can do it. He understood what duplication meant to people. Now, Dave Civula got a large group of people doing a few simple things, the 2AD+1, those few simple things consistently over time, so consistently over so much time that even in his absence, when he was ill and couldn't lead his team, when he was no longer appearing at events or on calls, when he was no longer with us, that simple consistency continues today. The people that he taught 2AD+1 are doing 2AD+1 right now, and they're growing the business that he left behind. So I'm going to teach you what 2AD+1 is, but the +1 is its own story. So let's start with the 2AD, and then I'll tell you the story of the +1 that goes with it. And some of you already know what this is because you've been with me before, but we're going to talk about it. What is the 2AD? 2AD is 2 a day, 2 presentations a day. Now, it's so important because I'm also showing you the process, which is invite, present, and close. Invite, present, and close. Invite, present, and close. Somebody might just say, well, that's sales. Okay, that's sales. Maybe it's dating. Invite, present, close. It could be a lot of things. It's life. It's how humans interact with each other. It's how I transfer how I feel about something to the way that I want you to feel about it. It's invite, it's present, and it's close. And Dave Civula knew that the magic formula was 2 presentations per day. Now, as you see on my screen here, the arrow is over invite. But the invitation, which I'm going to show you in a moment, the invitation, which I'm going to show you that he never changed, that he was careful to make sure people understood that they shouldn't change it, that he wanted everybody to use the same invitation. I'm going to show you that in a second, but I'm going to stay, I also want to talk about presentation, because there's a difference between an invitation and a presentation. The invitation is important, but it's not the presentation. And I like to say with all candor that we have often gotten off track. I'll just say for myself personally, for the team that I lead, for maybe even for the company, although I think that it would be bold for me to make that statement, but it's an observation that we often will confuse the invitation process with the presentation process. And we will celebrate invitations as if they were presentations. So I want to pause there for a second. Now there's 15 of us or so here, counting me, and if anybody logged in twice. I just wanted to go to the chat and say, can I get a 1 if you wanna build a business where your team, just give me a 1 if you want to build a business where your team can do this business without asking you how to do this business. See some 1s. Okay, so people want a team. They want a team of people that are independent. Ron Evans, I know this is what he wants, because I talked to Ron. He wants people to do this business even when he's not there holding their hand and asking them to do it. So we've got people that could have, see, here's the difference. I don't want to get all over the page, but I just want to make sure that I am selling you what this is. This is how you disconnect time from money. Because when you're first launching your business and growing it, there will be a period of time where your business presents money or provides money that is not in excess of what you could make doing something else, like having a career somewhere, having a job. Like there was times in the beginning in my business, it didn't out earn what I earned working and delivering furniture. And then when I quit my 2 jobs and I did this full time, there were weeks where I wasn't making much more money with this business than I would have made doing furniture deliveries. And I would get stressed out about the 2AD+1 formula, which I'm showing you. And I say, you know what, right now, it would be easier for me to just go back and get a job. That would be easier. And I was right, because at $400, $500 a week back then, not knowing for sure if this was going to work in the big picture, I was right in the moment, but I would have been devastatingly wrong in the big picture. because 2AD plus 1 grows this thing to where it disconnects your time from your money. There's no job in the world that my resume personally, or that I could get, that I could put a resume out, I'd get an interview, I'd go to the interview, they would hire me, that would pay anywhere near what this pays if I wanted to tie up all my time. But the fact is that my time and my money are disconnected from each other. And I'm not saying that to brag. I know the only income you really care about is yours. I just want to let you know I'm qualified to teach you this. I really, truly know what I'm talking about this. And you can have this too. Invitations are not presentations. It's a 2-presentation formula, but you need to invite people to do the presentations, and you're going to invite more people than you're going to get presentations from. That's just how it is. So what's the invitation look like? Here's the Dave Civula 2AD plus 1 formula invitation. Let me get back over here to this screen. Here's the formula. Here's the invitation. I've got something I'd like to show you. It'll only take a few minutes. You may or may not be interested. Like, this is everywhere. I wrote this in on purpose. This is in on purpose. This is what the guy that sold me my membership when I was 19 years old, having lunch at my job, this is what he said. It's compelling. It works. It doesn't. Here's what you don't have to do. You don't have to go out there and say, I'm an entrepreneur. This is my business. I'm going to change this script. You are allowed to do that. No one's going to know if you do that. But the problem is that you're changing something that we know works and has worked for decades. Because there's psychology in this, by the way. First of all, the psychology is anybody can learn these 3 lines. True? I think so. How about this? I've got something I'd like to show you is different than tell you. Because if I say I've got something I'd like to show you, and you say, yeah, well, what is it? And I'm on the telephone with you, I gotta say, well, I just got to show it to you. Let me come over. It'll only take a few minutes. Everybody has a few minutes. Nobody has hours. People don't want to make a giant commitment, but for a friend or even for someone they barely know, they'll give you a few minutes. If you have a compelling offer, if you have curiosity, and you may or may not be interested, it takes all the pressure off. So you've spoken to the pressure, you've spoken to the time commitment, you've spoken to why it's a show, not a tell. All in that. And as Dave Civula would do in a very charming way that I don't have his gift for, he would talk about how you could do it in any order. So you don't have to memorize the order of these 3 lines. You just have to memorize the 3 lines. You could say to a friend, it'll only take a few minutes. I've got something I'd like to show you. You may or may not be interested. You could say to a friend, hey, listen, you may or may not be interested. And it'll only take a few minutes, but I've got something that I'd like to show you. Now, we can come up with other scripts that weave in other things, other emotions, other things. But the reality is 2AD plus 1. This is the invitation. This is the invitation that built the largest organization. And with all respect to Brian Carruthers, if Dave Civula was alive today, Brian Carruthers would not be the #1 money earner in the company. The estate of the Civulas is technically still the #1 money earner in the company. That's how massive that business is. That's how significant it is to our company. And it all comes from this: simple. He didn't do anything complicated. He didn't teach anything complicated. When he wasn't teaching us this stuff, he was a coach for peewee and small kids, and then even later high school kids, football. He was a football coach. He didn't make things complicated. He made them simple. He took big concepts and he broke them down into little concepts. And I just want you to ask yourself, do you ever see that maybe sometimes we take a simple concept here at Legal Shield and we blow it up into something complicated instead of the other way around? But that's not what Dave Civula did when he got here. He found a way to make everything simple, and when it was simple, it worked. And some of the names of people who we will travel to go, we'll buy a ticket, pay for airfare to go watch them train, were trained by Dave Civula. And if I start making a list of names, that list of names will leave a lot of people off. But people you understand of what they've done in this business, like Nick Serba, $1 million ring earner, came from New York Life in that organization, shaped by Dave Civula. Mark Brown, $1 million ring earner. Mark Brown once served as our temporary CEO. That's how much the company thinks of Mark Brown in that organization. And just so many of these stories. And it was this. This is what they were teaching. This is what they were taught. And then what is the presentation, right? So I've got something I'd like to show you. It'll only take a few minutes. You may or may not be interested. Is to get the presentation. And now let's go back to the 2 presentations a day. 2 presentations a day. I don't want you to think for just for the moment, before I, because we're not going to spend a lot more time on this, but before we go, I don't want you to think about you doing 2 presentations a day. That's the activity that gets the result. That's not the result. When you disconnect your time from your money, here's the result you're seeking. What if you had 10 people doing 2 presentations a day? That's 20 presentations a day that are happening. 20 people every day in your business where you are financially benefiting from this activity. 20 people a day get the whole story about what Legal Shield is, what ID Shield is, and maybe even the opportunity, which I never leave the opportunity out. Unless I'm enrolling employees on the job site, I always share the membership and the opportunity. That's just what I choose to do. So 20 times a day, someone is getting that information and it benefits you. Does all 20 of those people sign up? Of course not. Do some out of 20 sign up? Of course they do. Because out of those 20 people, somebody wants to get their will done. Somebody's been a victim of identity theft. Somebody gets traffic tickets. Somebody has a kid that just started driving. Somebody has a kid that just went off to college. Somebody is wondering about how to do their name change with their spouse. Somebody has one of these life events going on right now. Out of those 20 people today, somebody's getting this membership. What if you had 100 people doing it? Now we're talking about 200 presentations a day. Do you understand the scale of this? How colossal 2 presentations a day is? But 2 invitations a day doesn't get you what you're seeking. 2 presentations a day. So this is what I would say to you. How many invitations do you need to make to have 2 presentations going on every day? Like, how many people do you have to text and talk to today to line up coffee twice tomorrow? And maybe you're going to do this over Zoom. And I don't have time to go into all the different ways you could do a presentation. You could theoretically send somebody the video. Alistair Edwards last Monday on this training made a great point that it's probably easier to get somebody to sit down with you right now and do this presentation for them and with them than it is to get them committed to watch a video. Probably is, because we get so many video invitations to watch a video every day. But you do the presentation. We've got a great flip book, so you can do the presentation with the flip book. You can do it over Zoom if you're not near the person or you just don't have time to get together. You can do it over Zoom. You can do it 2-on-1, which is how I was trained and how I always train new people in these old days before COVID, which is that I would sit down and do the presentation next to my new associate and their prospect. And I would do that as many times as they wanted me to, because I'm happy to do the presentation while I'm training my associate. And eventually that associate goes, okay, I get it. He's just flipping through this book and saying the words that are on the page. I can do that. And that's what happens. They get confidence from watching you do it with confidence. And that's the way you can do that virtually as well. You can do 2-on-1s over Zoom. You can do a group meeting. You can do a private Zoom over. You could contact me and say, Jim, I want to put 20 people on a Zoom Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Can you do it? And I'll say yes, because I would love to present to 20 people all at once, because I know that somebody in that 20 people is going to get these services and want to get started in the business. So it's a good use of my time. Happy to do it. So that's the presentation. There's a variety of different ways to do the presentation, but the presentation has to get done. And if you're keeping track of your activity and you're checking the box at 2 a day because you texted two people a link to your video, all I'm saying is that it might feel good to fill in those boxes, but it's not going to change the trajectory of your business anywhere near as quickly as if those boxes are truly 2 people that saw the information today. So that's the invitation. We've got something I want to show you. May or may not be interested. Only take a few minutes. And the presentation, we've got great tools to do a great presentation. And so the third part is the close. And the close is the thing nobody ever wants to do, right? But the fact is that if you have a Legal Shield membership and you use your Legal Shield membership and you've gotten great results from your Legal Shield membership, it has saved you time, money, heartache, headache, and you're telling those stories, the weirdest thing for you to do at the end would be to assume that the person that you presented this to wouldn't want what you have. Because instead of it feeling weird to do the close, it should feel weird to do the invitation at the beginning of the process. If you have the conviction to invite, the confidence to present, then it would be weird for you to not assume they want to buy a membership and you close it. And closing is not about getting somebody to make a decision they don't want. It's about giving them permission to make the decision that they do want. Here's what they want. They want Legal Shield. They want to know what it feels like to do what you did, to get your will done. They want to know what it feels like to talk to the attorneys. They want to know if this thing is real or not. They want to get on the phone and try it. And they don't get to do that unless you sign them up. So this is what I say. What did you like best of what you've learned so far? Not what do you think? Not would you like to get this? Not do you want to sign up? What do you like best about what you've learned so far? Because that will tell you where they are far better than any other question you can ask. Now, you might have a better question than that. I think another great way to say it is at the end of the presentation, you could say, now, where would you like me to email the confirmation for your membership? And you can just assume the sale like that. But I usually do that after this. I'll say, what do you like best about what you've learned so far? And by the way, if you're in a position where you don't feel comfortable doing the close, you should still have an associate with you, a leader like myself that's doing the presentation with you, because that leader is not going to have any reservation doing the presentation, then saying, what did you like best of what you've learned so far? Where would you like the confirmation sent for your membership? So that's the 2AD, 2 a day, 2 a day, 2 a day across the country. Here's what else Dave Zavula did. Let me tell you about the +1, because we're out of time. So here's the +1. The glue that holds it all together is the +1, and the +1 is a weekly meeting. 2 presentations per day and 1 weekly meeting. It's getting associates together, getting them to congregate. Now, it could be over Zoom these days. It's always better, as Sonora Danzler will say, when you're in the room. And a meeting doesn't have to be 50 people, 100 people. That's not what a meeting has to be. You plus one other person doing this business. Maybe it's a recruit of yours. Maybe they recruited you. Maybe you both just live in the city and you're not on each other's team, but you know each other. Coffee once a week, because 2 will become 4, 4 will become 8, 8 will become about 10, and somewhere around there you'll have a little synergy and it'll be enough. And then what'll happen is, as it gets a little bigger than that, it'll break apart, and then some of the people were driving, half an hour to come to it, so they'll start their own meeting closer to where they all live, and so it'll start just naturally staying around that size of 5 or 10 or 15 people. The geography will kind of work out the difference, but it all started with you. And Dave Zavula, this is the other part of the story I wanted to tell. He didn't just come up with 2 a day, which is wonderful and works. He didn't just come up with keeping it simple and highly duplicatable, which is absolutely why he's had that success. He knew the importance of people getting together. And so what he did was he went around this nation when there was no meetings. This was before COVID. This was when he came into the business in the 90s. There was no meetings in any cities, because nobody knew that it mattered. And he started the meeting system. He would recruit somebody and he would say, you are now running this market. This is you're going to start a meeting. You're going to be here. I'll be back in 3 weeks. I'll help you in between. You're going to do 2 a day, and you're going to do a meeting every week. And he would come back 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks later. And when he came back, he'd have a room full of people. That started with one person that he put in charge of doing 2 a day in that city. And he did that all over the nation. And he did that tirelessly all over the nation. Now, COVID shut all of that down. And because it was opened up with originally by Dave Zavula, by the #1 money earner, by somebody who was more driven and would outwork anybody, it hasn't come back to where it could be as fast as it could. It's taking longer than it should, but any one of us can start a meeting. And there are Super Saturdays in the big city. Those are the monthly events, but I'm talking about the weekly get-togethers. Some people are having them, some people are not. Some people are having them consistently, some people are having them every once in a while. But a weekly meeting in your community will be the glue that holds your local associates together. And as that weekly meeting system populates again all over the country, that means that as you're building all over the country, you can send your associates in those other markets to their weekly meeting, which again is the glue, the bond, where people that are doing Legal Shield together have the synergy of doing it together, that they're championing each other's causes. And it all started with Dave Zavula and the 2AD+1 formula. 2 presentations a day, a weekly meeting to hold it all together, and you can build this thing nationally, internationally, and beyond anything you could ever dream of. Now, since this is our business solutions meeting, I should say, I didn't really talk about business solutions, but Dave Zavula built the largest business solutions team in the entire organization. 50% of his team's premium comes from business solutions. Why? because they built a recruiting army, a duplication machine. And as it gathered people that were excited about what Legal Shield does, as it gathered people that were excited about following the system and being coachable, that had a burning desire to succeed, that were willing to do the work, some of those people found their way into Business Solutions. So again, we don't have to overthink this. We don't have to make it more complicated. All we have to do is do the work that gets the results. This is the work that gets the results. It couldn't be any simpler than this. And we could talk about the 10 core commitments, which is the expanded version of the commitments around this, that is the glue that holds it all together. But in its nucleus, it's 2 presentations a day and a weekly meeting, and everything else builds on that foundation. I got 12:37 p.m. Eastern. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining me today. We're going to continue with our regular schedule of events here on Monday. This Wednesday, there will not be a Launching Your Business training because many of us will be traveling back from Dallas. And as it relates to Dallas, I'll see many of you there in the morning. Thank you very much and have a great rest of your day.